You're listening to a Roddenberry podcast.
You're listening to Mission Log the Orville, an episode-by-episode discussion of the adventures of the crew of the USS Orville.
Welcome to another episode of Mission Log the Orville, the show where we explore every episode of the Orville for meanings, morals, and messages, and to see if it aligns with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. This week, Blood of Patriots. You know, the one where Gordon catches up with his old buddy Orrin, and Ed gets super jealous. I'm Jessica Lynn Verdi.
And I'm Mike Richards. Mission Log the Orville is a conversation that depends on your participation. Share your thoughts, ideas. Tell us what we missed, or at least tell me what I missed at ML_the Orville on Twitter, Mission Log Pod on Facebook. You can email us at missionlog-the-orville at roddenberry.com. And if you're watching this on the Roddenberry YouTube channel, hit like and subscribe. And remember, we may use your comments on an upcoming episode. Now here's Jessica with the recap.
Blood of Patriots. Any excuse to throw a party, I guess, but Yaphet is being awarded for his bravery during the Kalon battle. The crew tries to peer pressure Ed into a tequila shot, which he then throws over his shoulder. Saved by the hail, Mercer and Grayson are called to the captain's office by a video call from Admiral Perry, who shares the good news that the Krill are considering a treaty with the Union. The first step is signing a Lock Vi, a document of goodwill to be agreed to by both parties. No one is prepared for this kind of mission, and the only person who has any sort of prolonged contact with the Krill is Ed. He is to see that the Lock Vi is signed and that nothing goes wrong. No pressure. Just as the Krill ship is about to rendezvous with the Orville, a Krill shuttle shoots out and does its best to avoid fire from the Krill. The Orville is hailed, requesting emergency docking. The Krill shuttle crashes into the bay. The crew runs down to investigate. When Tala opens the shuttle door, two humans are revealed, a skittish, mute woman and an unconscious and injured man who Gordon recognizes by the name of Orrin. Act 1. The leader of the Krill delegation is demanding the return of the refugee via video call. He informs Ed and Kelly that Orrin destroyed 4 Krill ships after the ceasefire and that he is in possession of a very dangerous weapon. Kelly reveals that they have found no such weapon. Ed encourages the leader to board the Orville along with the delegation to better discuss the situation. Gordon tells Ed that he and Orrin were best friends at the Union and that they were both stationed at an outpost that was attacked by the Krill. Orrin saved Gordon's life that day, but his wife was killed during the attack, and he and his daughter had not been heard from since. Orrin revives abruptly under the care of Dr. Finn, who requests that he takes things slowly. Orrin asks after his daughter. Dr. Finn attempted to bring her to sickbay, but she resisted. Orrin reveals that 20 years in a Krill prison camp and indelicate doctors had caused her to not speak, let alone not feel comfortable with being examined. But he assures her that his daughter is healthy, if not mentally, but physically. Gordon greets Orrin, who is thrilled to see his old best friend. Ed interrupts to get answers. Orrin says that he knows nothing about the destroyed Krill ships, that they only escaped from the Krill prison and did everything they could to even get as far as they did today. Gordon visits Ed to tell him that he doesn't think Orrin is capable of the kind of destruction he's being accused of, even going so far as to suggest that we give the Krill back rubs instead of extraditing Orrin. Thankfully, there are no extradition agreements between the Krill and the Union as of now, but the Krill ambassador threatens Ed with violence if he does not hand over Orrin and is given 12 hours to decide. Act 2. Gordon visits Orrin to throw back a couple brewskis. Gordon remarks at how much Orrin's daughter, Lena, has grown up since he last saw her as a child. She was traumatized in the Krill prison, but she is strong. Orrin shares how the loss of his wife on that day of the attack was the worst thing he had ever been through, and that coming to terms with her loss is no better. Remorseful, Gordon tells Orrin that he'd do anything he could to help, to which Orrin says that Gordon should tell the captain that the peace deal with the Krill is a bad idea. Oren, Gordon, I'm very upset at the writers. And when Gordon suggests a treaty with the Krill would be a great way to honor Oren's wife, he becomes incensed, getting up to leave, Gordon explaining that it would be an insult to his wife and everyone who has died because of the conflict. Ed visits Tala and asks her for her off-record opinion of Oren. She has no basis for this opinion, but she doesn't trust him. She can't blame him for destroying the Krill vessels if he did, but a thorough sweep of his stolen Krill shuttle revealed no weapons capable of that kind of destruction, which would suppose that the Krill are lying. Ed asks Tala to keep an eye on him, and we see Tala smell a fart. She just smelled the fart acting. Oren pays a visit to engineering, and he tells Lieutenant Lamar that he is amazed at the technological advances made within the last 20 years. He's invited to take a look around, and he does so in a Snoopy looking for something kind of way. He seems to find what he's looking for in a storage compartment when Tala startles him. He says he must have gotten lost, and Tala watches him as he leaves. Ed and Kelly learn from Admiral Perry that the Union is considering a provisional extradition agreement in order to secure the signing of the Lakvai. And despite Oren's years of service to the Union, if he's guilty, it's the only avenue to make the treaty happen. Ed and Kelly are now in a race against time to see if Oren really could have destroyed those Krill vessels. Ed goes to ask Gordon if there's anything he should know about Oren that could help him with his problem. And when Gordon learns that the Union is considering extradition, Gordon flips. He accuses Ed of being jealous of his friendship with Oren and that he agrees that there shouldn't be peace with the Krill. Gordon decides to confront Oren and asks if he did indeed violate the ceasefire. And Oren's response is to accelerate his motives. He attempts to guilt Gordon into getting him a shuttle in order to put an end to the peace talks. Lamar notices that there are 2 missing quantum storage cells missing from the area that Tala found Oren in. Gordon listens on as the bridge crew tries to figure out what Oren might want with plasma containers, especially when he wouldn't just have plasma lying around. Gordon begrudgingly reveals Oren's plans to Tala, but asks her not to tell the captain. He knows he has to. He just is also painfully aware that he is betraying a man he's known for 30 years that also saved his life. He doesn't know exactly what Oren is going to do, but he tells Tala that Oren planned on telling him once they were on the shuttle and off the ship. Gordon heads to get Oren, and he takes him to a shuttle. Tala attempts to thwart them in the shuttle bay. She thought Gordon was going to tell the captain. Gordon asks Tala not to get in the middle of this, and when she refuses, he shoots her. The shuttle takes off, and we learn that the bridge is well aware and tracking them. Tala rises to her feet. This was all part of the plan, and there is literally no time to spare, with the Krill expecting to rendezvous with the Orville in exactly 30 minutes. Oren tells Gordon to plot a course to rendezvous with the Krill ship, but still doesn't tell Gordon what the plan is. Tala heads to visit Oren's daughter, who is as reclusive as ever. When attempting to offer some comfort, Tala notices that Lena's arm is pocked with holes. When Tala hails Dr. Finn for immediate medical attention for Lena, her first words are finally uttered as she puts a knife to Tala's throat, commanding Tala to tell Dr. Finn to belay that order. It seems that Lena is unfamiliar with the Zelayan strength, and she is able to be subdued by getting thrown against the wall. Out pours orange blood from Lena's nose, just in time for Dr. Finn to arrive and notice. This alarms Dr. Finn, who ushers Tala out of the room and commands that the bridge use a force field around Lena's room and initiate a nitrogen purge. One thing for certain, she isn't Oren's daughter. She's an Enval. Their blood is iodide rich, which makes for an explosive situation in nitrogen-rich atmospheres. Oren has been extracting her blood and using it as a weapon to destroy the Krill ships. The Krill shuttles have torpedo launchers that made this possible, but Union shuttles do not have torpedo capabilities. It then becomes apparent that Oren's current plan is a suicide mission, and Gordon is on board. The Orville races to intercept the shuttle. Gordon finally demands that Oren tell Gordon the plan, and he, in fact, is using Enval blood to destroy the Krill ships. That Lena, his real daughter, was killed along with his wife, and that Lena was also a victim of the Krill, who was, fake Lena, was also a victim of the Krill, who was glad to partake in the destruction of any Krill possible. Gordon draws a weapon on Orin, which results in a battle for who can wrestle the best. When it seems that Orin has been bested, he sets a timer on one of the blood vials, threatening that they will follow through with the mission or die right here, right now. Gordon shoots the control dock, keeping Orin from setting a course back to intercept the Krill vessel. Gordon goes to get spacesuits and offers the first one to Orin, who subsequently tells Gordon to go to hell. Gordon suits up and tries to beg Orin to come with him, to no avail. Gordon steps out of the shuttle into the void of space, left with no choice. He's hardly far enough from the shuttle when it explodes and throttles Gordon into a hopeless spin. Moments later, Gordon is caught in the tractor beam of the Orville. The Lakvi is signed, and the beginning of a fragile yet hopeful peaceful era has begun with the Union and the Krill. Ed visits Gordon after hours to apologize to him and to offer condolences for the death of Orin. Gordon said that the man who died on the shuttle wasn't Orin, that he died years ago on the outpost. Ed also confesses that, yes, he might have been a little threatened of his relationship with Orin, that he has no one else he can really count on besides Gordon. Gordon assures him that they are best friends, and nothing save for a really hot chick will ever get in the way of that.
Nice job. That was a tough one, Gordon and Orin. And I think at one point you put quotes around Orin, so I think I have to do that.
Orin
for the rest of the show. Orin.
It's not a bad name, like
it's
thematically.
Not, Orrin Hatch, I think, and there's been some famous Orins around. I think
Orrin Hatch is a human, a real human.
Real human. I don't really know why that name is rattling around inside my head, but there are. I have heard the name before. And Saved by the Hail, loved it.
So good, right? I was so impressed with myself.
Good. Just reminds me how much I want Mark Paul Gosselaar to play Captain Kirk in the upcoming Star Trek 4 in the JJ verse.
That being said, this is so not what this podcast is about, but I am so happy that there's another movie coming out. I was dismayed to learn that they had to run the numbers to see if there was interest enough for it. Did you see that in the article? And that just goes to show casting doesn't matter anymore. It's just like, oh, well, they do the numbers we want, Right. But that being said, say what you will about the Kelvin timeline. I'm a fan. You're totally right. Maybe we need to see like a mirror universe Mark Paul Gosselaar against
but
Chris
he
Pine.
Would be the nice one. I think Chris Pine would be the mirror universe one.
Well, one or the other. Yeah, totally. I'm just saying you're not wrong. There's such a strong resemblance there. It's very impressive. So very funny to me.
No kidding. So fun episode. In the timeline, it was about a month after the Identity 2. The events of the Battle of Earth. Written by Seth MacFarlane, directed by Rebecca Rodriguez. Her first effort on the Orville. Look for her to direct an episode of the upcoming NBC science fiction series Debris that's getting ready to premiere.
I do think it is the first female director, though, on the show so far.
Been more than one. I don't know if this is the first or not, but I am actually impressed by the fact that as the show progresses, I have seen more female names credited as the director. Not to assume gender.
Fair enough, too. Right, exactly.
That's fine. John Debney, who normally creates the music for about every other episode, made a really good effort with this one. One of the neat things about this one, it was one continuous song from the time Gordon grabs Orin and steals the shuttle until Gordon is looking at the picture of...
No way!
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's impressive.
It is. Wow. Going back, I may watch it again just for that. Guest stars, we have Mackenzie Aston, who played Orin. He's the son of John Aston and Patty Duke. For our older fans who know who Patty Duke is, and he's the younger half brother of the fat hobbit, the Rudy, who is out there giving his best effort on the football field in the movie Rudy.
I hate how people always call hobbits fat.
No. He was a particularly fat hobbit.
Yes, of course he was. I'm just kidding.
I would not call Perry or the others. Mary
no, you're
or
totally
Pippin.
right. Live. They were live, and he was. Potato.
But he is, he is the half brother of Sean Astin.
Oh.
Yeah. Sean Astin was adopted by their father, John Astin, when Sean was 3. That's why they have the same last name. Finally, if you don't know who John Astin is, I'll just say that he's creepy and he's kooky. He is also mysterious and spooky.
What?
He's altogether ooky. Ooh. He's the patriarch of the Addams Family. He played Gomez Addams in the 1960s version of the Addams Family.
Oh, nepotism.
Sure enough. They never would have gotten their start without it. And we have Eiley Key as Layla. I found 6 other acting credits with her, as well as some voice work on the video game Eliza. Okay. So could not find a lot on her on IMDb, but she seemed like a great actor, and hopefully we'll see more of her in the future.
She lightly reminded me of an actress on Firefly. I know she's not the same actress, but she kind of had a similar look.
Summer Glau?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were definitely going for that Summer Glau. Not Miranda, I can't think of her name, but that vibe on.
Yeah, like if that actress walks into audition, you're like, oh yeah, you definitely cast her on that look alone for sure.
Exactly. This episode reminded me a little bit of the Next Gen episode, The Wounded, where there was a kind of a tenuous peace treaty with the Cardassians, and there was a Federation captain running around that Chief O'Brien used to work for. And he was kind of continuing to wage war on his own. And a little bit similar theme to Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, when they were trying to make peace with the Klingons, and there were some folks that were just not having it. How about yourself? You're usually pretty good at picking out maybe a similar.
No, I think you're the one who's real good at it. Rarely have I seen the ones that you're referring to. I've seen that movie. I just don't remember it well enough. And I do think about this often, though. Like, is the love of Star Trek infusing the storytelling that Seth wants to tell? Or that Seth wants to do with this show, or is it like, what would be a great episode is if we did this and this, I think subconsciously we tell the same stories with our shell of the storytelling mechanism. I don't think he's stealing the stories, but these stories we've seen them, right? Like there's a lot of similar themes.
Correct. And I don't think they're being stolen. I think I
don't think you're saying that either.
I think there are about 100 good ideas. I took a philosophy class in grad school, and kind of like on day one, our professor handed us a piece of paper that said 100 great ideas. And he said, that's it. Like, if you can come up with another one, let me know. He's like, but I'll be able to put it in one of these boxes. So it was interesting. So I think you have similar tales that need to be told again, tales that need to be expounded upon, and stories that can be maybe fleshed out a little bit more. And with 850, I think we just hit hours of Star Trek in the can. There are bound to be some similarities that one can find.
850?
I think that's the current number and counting.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's a bunch.
That's a lot of story.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast. I definitely mentioned it on my streams. I've been only watching Orville and Family Guy. Right. And the weird thing about the way I'm watching Family Guy is I've watched it from the most recent season and I'm going backward, and it's really odd, but because it's just like they're getting worse, like with the PC-ness, and so it's very interesting to see it devolve, and not in any way a begrudge, but they rehash their own storylines in different ways too.
Good.
And not in an annoying way. It's just you can only do so much after you've hit 200 episodes, 300 episodes, 400 episodes. And speaking of which, I got into one of the episodes where it really was the 200th episode. They were celebrating, Seth MacFarlane and the writers were celebrating the 200th episode. And they have, which is unsurprising, a full orchestra do each episode. And,
wow.
And it makes sense. That Orville is so well orchestrated because it's something that Seth values so much. And it does distinguish I do think it does distinguish Family Guy from other TV shows. The fact this 80 to 60 piece orchestra doing every episode.
It's impressive music, and I do remember seeing Seth at one point in an interview say, you know, we love the comedy, we love the show, but what we're really proud of is the music. So, and I think that carries over into this.
Yeah.
And I do love the music. Not a bunch of it. This episode I think was scored very well. I don't think we had any extra songs in this episode. No Billy Joel, no Barry Manilow, sadly.
I thought we could have had something at the end with Gordon.
Yeah, I think we could have had
We've gotten a lot lately.
We've gotten a lot. We got Yaphet getting some props, which is nice for his effort getting all up inside a Kalon Centurion.
But
and
where's the props for Ty?
I don't know. You know, maybe someday. He's just
You know
a
what I mean?
kid. He's just a kid.
Come on, he almost died. He could have died.
True. Either was he I guess he was not technically responsible for every mess that he got himself out of, but it's close.
Right.
So, and Ed faking a shot of Aldorian vodka. I don't like that. I was just take the shot, man. Take the shot.
That's peer pressure, Mike.
That's okay. You got to lead by example.
Exactly. By not making your crew peer pressure you.
Yes. In fact, that would have been a better way out, is just to say, hey, I'm the captain. I could be on duty at any time. I got to answer that 3 a.m. phone call that hail from Admiral
and
Admiral Perry
Gordon would have been like, "Come on, guy." Everyone would have been like, "Come on." The thing is I misspoke in the recap and said tequila, and it was vodka. Vodka I can drink. If someone made me drink tequila, my response would be like, I would puke right now. You really got to make me drink tequila right now? That's what you want?
A shot of tequila is generally for me, I need to work my way up to it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like I can do a shot of tequila, but it's not going to be right out of the gate.
Sure.
Yeah, that'll be well into the night, and probably.
I mean, also, where do you think it was going to go? Like, you're just going to throw it? How does he know it's not going to hit?
Well, I guess
somebody?
he thought like if everybody was heads up, then they would miss it, and it would just kind of go on the floor behind.
Yeah,
them,
but then someone's going to die because they're going to spill and
they're gonna die.
The mom in me is like, well, pick up after yourself.
It'll get on the carpet. Somebody will slip and die. So. Loved seeing Ted Danson back, and he's got a very commanding presence, I think, as Admiral Perry. And it's to me, it's impressive. We talked about whether or not having somebody that recognizable would take you out of the show or not. For me, it doesn't.
Right.
How do you feel about that? I know that was your comment a couple of weeks ago.
I think more than anything, I don't know if it takes me out of the show so much as it's just interesting to see him be so stern.
Yeah.
And not in a comedy situation.
Right.
So I think if I were to like rewind my take last time he was our guest, that's probably it more than anything. It's just a distinct difference than how we normally see him. It's interesting that you were saying, that reminds me, there's only 100 good ideas. There are slots that we fill as actors that if you try to put us in a different slot, a movie was less likely to be successful. An example being, like Tom Cruise is your, not Tom Cruise. Kathy Bates is a better example because I can remember what she represents. Right. She's the put upon nurse. Every time you see her in a role, she is, I gotta take care of this. I'm the only one who could take care of this. I'm the only one who could take care of you. I'm the only one who knows how to dress up Jack Dawson. I'm the only one who knows that my son needs to stay bedridden. Like she knows that that's how she.
I'm the only one that can get the sequel to Misery written.
Right. And that's her lot in life. And if you were to put her in there as like the sweet, mom, we wouldn't buy that as much, even though she's a fantastic actor. Yeah. She just embodies an archetype like that. And Tom Cruise does have an archetype, which is like, I can do this guy, I can, and I will, and you don't believe me, but I will. And if you were to put him in a role of like dorky dude, you just wouldn't want to see that film. So yeah, exactly. Hi, my name is Tom Cruise.
Hi, my name is Tom Cruise.
You know what I mean? Risky, but he wouldn't play
Yeah, he's always the guy with the cool job and the the good looking girlfriend, and he's taking risks.
The little bit of an underdog, the guy who you kind of underestimate, or whatever. But he's the hero.
The one that I thought of right away when you said that was Robin Williams, who had so many roles where he did just fantastic physical comedy, and then he did something like Insomnia, which was a good movie, but I think it did take people aback quite a bit.
It is. Sometimes you can equate the success of a film if an actor is diverging from what the public expects of them or wants out of them, and it's sometimes not quantifiable, and sometimes it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Admiral Perry, since we were talking about Ted Danson, told Ed that he was uniquely qualified to broker this peace deal. And Ed has a long history, going back to season 1 of kind of aspiring to or hoping for peace, or at least a détente between the Union and the Krill. He said, all we really know about the Krill is what you and Gordon did on the ship, as well as your relationship with the Krill woman. I think there was maybe a little bit more to it than that, but the relationship with the Krill woman, he sent her back, with a message trying to broker peace. Do you remember what? I can't remember exactly what he said.
We can keep on fighting.
Yes, that sounds familiar. Or we can talk. Yeah.
And if we don't talk, then there'll be nothing but fishes.
Nothing left on Earth excepting fishes. Exactly right. And then we could have maybe a movie night occasionally too. So I think Ed was exactly the right guy. I mean, I think it was a good choice, because I don't know if there was anybody else around, doing that kind of pre-wiring to broker peace between the two.
Yes. I think the issue being, and I'm sure you're aware of this, that Ed's just not diplomatically trained, right? This is just not his.
He did say you probably have 1,000 diplomats, I think was the number he put out there.
So it is odd that you don't hire a professional to do this job. But even Kelly has experience by going to that Krill person and asking for help too. So of course they are going to be just fine. There's they are known with the Krill, right? There is some mutual respect.
There is
with Ed and Kelly's name.
And I do want to get into that a little bit later of how to make decisions in unknown situations, and what makes,
Great.
I think what makes the Orville so interesting and so much in line with, I'd say earlier Star Trek, like TOS and TNG.
Sure.
So we'll get to that a little bit later. I noticed the names, Locke apostrophe Vi. Devorokos was the name of the ship. Devoro apostrophe Kos, bringer of blood. Ooh, it's kind of an intimidating name. Just lots of apostrophes in Krill names, kind of like the Klingons. Always had a Q apostrophe OK P apostrophe. And I was just wondering if the Krill title of this episode would have been Blood O Patriots.
Blood O Patriots.
Blood O apostrophe for that.
That's really great, Mike. Blood O Patriots. I'm fighting for my country. I love it.
And then the Krill shuttle getting shot at and getting fired upon and landing in the Orville shuttle bay. I was just thinking about Star Trek V, where they could have used emergency landing plan B. B, as in barricade.
What is that from?
It's from Star Trek V.
Wow. I need to see the movies again. It's been quite some time.
It's Star Trek V has its moments, and I think it could be edited down to about an episode, and it would be great. It has some of the weakest special effects in the series, and a little bit of strange costumery and things like that. And if they could kind of work around that and just tell the story, I think it's actually kind of a cool story. But that's neither here nor there. Love Tala's
improvised boarding regulations. So she had registration number, mother's maiden name. Urine sample. So apparently they're still using the P corner for something. That's right. Oh My goodness. I didn't even think about that.
And then when Ed just begged her for 5 more minutes and she put the glove on, snap.
Just a routine prostate exam.
Yep.
She knows more about the Krill now than anyone else
does. Just a full cavity search, I think is the is the term.
Wow.
So second time we got to see the game, Ballad on Discs.
Right.
Isaac was playing that with the boys. When he showed that his intelligence far exceeded their own. And we saw it again with in this episode. Kind of maybe reminded me of 3D chess.
I think that was my first impression of it when it first showed up. It's because it is multi-tiered. Mm-hmm. It's holographic. You know what? To your point. I think it's interesting that we didn't see Tala's instrument again. It's the scene where they introduced Lena to Tala's Zillian instrument. Seems like a really interesting scene. It's really interesting music. Instrument, and it never comes back, and it doesn't really make sense why that happens.
It's called a pelpaifa.
Right.
And this is the first and only time I've seen it. And if it comes back later in the series, I don't know.
But what's the narrative reason for introducing her to that if we're not going to see her play it or see it have
it was not Chekhov's pelpaifa. They did not introduce it early on and make sure that they used it for something later on in the
was there pelpaifa in
the show. I think that's how it was. Pelpifa.
No, does Chekhov have a pelpaifa?
No. That's just kind of like Chekhov's gun, the storytelling narrative.
Yes.
That if there's going to be a gun, if you're going to show a gun in Act 1, you better use it in Act 3.
We have a Star Trek Chekhov, and now you've confused me.
Yeah,
so that's
okay.
the problem. No, it's okay.
It
Here
is
we
okay.
go.
So that was not neither.
It was not neither. It was planted, but not shot.
It was neither Ensign Chekhov's, Pavel Chekhov's.
It wasn't Chekhov's Pavel.
Yeah, it wasn't his, nor was it the author's, because it didn't come back and get used for anything other than a joke. And the joke was that it kept Tala. She was pretty sure that's what kept Tala from getting laid the whole time growing up. But Lieutenant Dan is maybe interested. But I think Lieutenant Dan would probably be interested with or without said holographic instrument.
And he already is okay with his laying. We know that too. So
yeah, exactly. He maybe he learned a little bit about the Solans that he can use again.
Do you think we'll get an episode in season 3 where Lieutenant Dan is just despondent and wants to end it all because no one wants to be his friend?
Maybe we will get a very special episode with Lieutenant Dan, and I think that
he's got an O'Brien thing happening, right?
There's a little bit of like Lieutenant Dan must suffer going on.
Yeah,
and I think if they wanted to really dig deep into a Lieutenant Dan backstory, where you get to see that even though he puts this brave face on every day, tries to get people to like him every single day, that there's probably a dark side to that if it's not working out, and I would love to see that. It's
not dissimilar from the very divergent episode of Ted Lasso where we follow Coach Beard's night life, which really was widely received differently. Very polarizing opinions on that. Mm-hmm. But I'm not against getting to know someone that's a little enigmatic. I think because he's not a magic person. He's just a person that operates differently.
Just a guy with a big stupid head.
And he was talking, I love that he was talking like to Belarfnock Victuing. Like he was talking to the Sims guy, essentially.
And that to me was that balanced out the conversation when Ed went into Tala's office and said, "Hey, I need your advice off the record. Do you trust Oren?" And she was like, "I got no reason to, but I don't." Like that to me was such an office politics kind of conversation. Like, hey, I'm going to talk to you. Doors closed. Don't tell anybody I said this. This is completely off the record. And then it goes to another kind of the other end of the spectrum. Office politics we should have like casual Fridays, man. I just want to come to work in a t-shirt.
Belingnar Petunik. Parsing. Like,
Cool. I'm totally gonna do that now.
Pinarni. So I actually know one of the people who invented Simlish.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
It is. So it
Lingnar Patuni.
and I know, and that's what I like. I mean, even though some is comedy and some is not, I think it does accurately reflect what I see or what I have seen as just kind of like, you know, the office conversations from the ridiculous to the sublime. Now, speaking of Lieutenant Dan, you know, and when we saw him in Deflectors, he was with the cupcake.
Oh yeah,
Tractor beam engaged, served by Ensign Turco.
Oh yes,
who we have not seen since. She was not in Identity 1 or 2. She was not in this episode.
Did Clyden murder her?
Did or more likely, did she and Seth break up?
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds about right.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
I love
if she
how
comes
we
back.
have our own through lines just from doing this show about a show that we didn't write. But that's such a good theory. I'm proud of that theory, frankly.
Yeah.
She's hottie patati with a body.
Yep.
So are you sure she wasn't in Identity? I feel like she was. But you probably are right. She definitely wasn't in this one.
Yeah, definitely not in this one. And I did watch ahead to next week, and she was not in that one either. So
what is going on, Seth? She is a hottie patati.
No.
Wow.
Maybe.
So this is interesting. I'm gonna let you get to the next point. I just can't wait to share my opinion. So
okay. So we have these quantum storage cells, which Orin stole to hold the what was it? Enval? I keep wanting to say incel. Enval blood.
Wow. That is so fair. It's so fair. She can't even talk and she's playing games.
So he stole those things. And I remember at one time, I think I had like 3 of those in the back seat of my car, like in the 90s, just from like going through the bank drive-through where they send you that tube and then you just like
is that what it looks like?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And then you get your money back. You just drive away with it. So
wow.
Yeah, it looked like that. I am not surprised you don't know what they look like, but
I existed. I was at the LA courthouse in October for jury duty, and there's always vestiges of the previous life, and especially in an old building that was clearly built in the 20s, and there were air tubes, and I only noticed it because when we were there for an hour waiting to get into the courtroom, and I was like, oh my God, they had them. And I was so excited about that because it's really a pretty efficient way to send things, if you ask me. But yeah, I never got to use one, I don't think.
Oh, I still use them to this day.
The containers or the pipes?
The air tubes with the pipes. I mean,
they still work?
They still work. I mean, I went to a bank not long ago and needed what was going through the drive-through, but needed a withdrawal slip or something like that because I had left the house without all the necessary stuff.
And they did
I needed to get money.
And
they shot it out to the car, and
I guess they do that sometimes with prescriptions, but not with tubes because they don't need a tube for a prescription. I've done that before. Okay. I'm just trying to make you feel really old.
That's okay. I know what this is.
Wow.
So anybody who's closer to my age than Jessica's probably drove off with a couple of those as well. And who knew you could have used them to store Inval blood and blow up a Krill ship.
Now we know.
Now you know. And now we also know why we're getting a new shuttle in season 3.
Maybe they're going to have torpedo capability.
They should totally have torpedo capability.
So I don't know. Yeah, close your ears if you don't. I can't describe a shuttlecraft to you and give you spoilers for the trailer that we saw, or the pictures are out there of the new shuttlecraft. And I think initially I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about it. Like I just didn't know if I liked it. But then it's interesting that you mention it because when I saw the shuttle leave, the Orville, and we're seeing it suspended in space. I'm like, oh, I am so ready for a different shuttle, more sleek design. And it is already a more sleek. It's got more glass, it looks cool. So I thought, I didn't realize that I was more open to a different shuttle design than I initially thought I was.
Well, good. I'm glad you're coming around. That's one of the few things that I said that I saw it and I kind of liked it right away. I think it looked, a little reminded me of a Raptor from Battlestar Galactica, which is kind of a cool design. So we'll see how that goes. Also curious to know if it's an actual replacement, if we're going to see another shuttle in the last 4 episodes of the season.
Well, because there are, I think, at least 2 shuttles on the ship. So
right.
there's one more, and also let's not forget the Orville New Horizons is several years after this event, right?
That's a good point.
So It's not like they were without shuttles. It's just the reason they took, besides the fact that it's with a different station or a different producer or whatever. It's years later, so it would make sense that there would be an upgrade in design to some extent.
Yeah. And I'm gonna try to crowdsource my next comment with because I don't have an answer. Hopefully you do. When we've seen movies and pop culture references in the past on the show, like The King and I and Nothing Left on Earth Excepting Fishes with the song, or songs Rudolph, or there are many, many others, whether it be Billy Joel or Bluebirds over Dover, or whichever song we had a couple of weeks ago. There's been kind of like a direct tie-in to the plot. I could not pluck anything out of Planet of the Apes. Could you? No.
So that makes me wonder, if you look back at the Pelpifa,
sure, the flute,
the Zalayan instrument, and this. Maybe there's like 15 minutes on the cutting room floor that we just didn't see of this episode or something.
Well, there has to be a deleted scene from when. So we'll get off Planet of the Apes. There might be something there. I was thinking twist ending or
no, it's
that
a good question, because I was thinking the same exact thing.
But there has to be a deleted scene where Gordon leaves Tala's office, goes and talks to Ed, lets him know what's going on, gets Tala in on the plan, and then goes to Orin.
Oh,
and steals
no, that
the
was
shuttle.
purposeful. That was
well, I know. I mean, but it was purposeful. But
it's abrupt.
So yeah. So where do you think that conversation took place?
Directly after.
Okay.
I think it takes place directly after, because obviously narratively we can't see them have the conversation, otherwise
right.
we wouldn't believe why he shot Tala. Mm-hmm. Halfway through writing the recap, I'm like, this is a plot heavy episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot of plot in this episode, even though there isn't, and there was some emotion, but even we can talk about this more too, especially how it does relate to their friendship. But even Ed feeling threatened by Orin mm-hmm. and Gordon's relationship, that felt really forced in a way. That did feel forced. And in general, this episode, when it came up, and I'm like, oh great, it's my week to do this recap, I forgot about this episode. And doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad episode. It's a well done episode. It's a good Gordon episode. It's just not amazing. And yeah, and so some things were missing. Some through lines or connective tissue was missing. And I do understand that there's no physical deleted scene of that conversation happening, but it was just one of those things where the best option that the storytellers had was to keep something from us, and that, as you know, is not my favorite story. Fair enough. Yeah, because in some way, I think I remember watching the episode back for the first time, months ago, going, "Oh, Gordon, what the heck?" but not feeling a huge amount of betrayal, and the reveal that they've known the whole time. It makes sense. It's I'm with you. It's not. It wasn't. So some things were missing, and I don't know why, of all movies, Planet of the Apes. I just don't. I don't know. Like if they showed the Millennium Falcon escape and Moff Tarkin saying we're taking a big chance here, Vader, I would probably had more respect for that scene. There would have been something more to it. Apes. Well,
Yeah.
And again, we just know that we know that Seth MacFarlane loves these old movies, so it very well could be as simple as that. I actually would love to invite our audience to give us their theories as to why
Planet
of the Apes. And
exactly.
Don't go anywhere. We're going to jump into the morals, meanings, and messages now. All right, so we have come to the part of the show where we're going to explore the big ideas in the episode Lodo Patriots and discuss the messages, morals, and meanings, and discuss whether or not the episode needed to have Planet of the Apes in it or not. No.
Please tell us why Planet of the Apes.
Or not the episode aligns with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy. Mike, there's so many things about this episode that I actually need help on with you.
Please.
And the majority of it is its undertones of patriotism and duty to one's country / military. And so
okay. I think I can help with that.
Yeah, I'd like to, because when Gordon says that Oren's a patriot, there seems to be it feels like I should understand what that means intrinsically, and I don't think I understood. Okay. Especially when he responds going, patriotism is only for people with big families. And I
noticed that line also. I did not understand that line also.
Okay.
Patriotism is only for those with big families. What I do know is this. The military code of conduct specifically says that one in the military is an American fighting person. They are fighting to protect and defend the American way of life. They will fight to the death. They will not surrender. They will not let people in their command, under their command, surrender as long as there is a way to continue to fight. If they are captured, they will continue to fight.
I see.
If they are senior, they will take command. If they are not senior, they will follow the command of those who are senior to them. If they escape, they will continue to fight. So Oren, I have no problem with anything Oren did. He was essentially a POW. He was, to a point, he was a POW. Right. He escaped. He tried to
could have gotten to the Union.
Sure.
He could have chosen to do that.
On his way to the Union, he fought against and disabled 3 Krill vessels.
Is that what you think he did? I don't think he did that. I think he decided to be a mercenary.
Okay.
And just so happened to be on a course that he found the Union ship. I feel like that's how I read that.
That is probably true,
right.
or quite possibly. I sort of read it as he escaped and he was able to cause chaos behind enemy lines on his way back to the Union. Okay.
Right.
So if that was if he stayed behind enemy lines on purpose, that's probably beyond what his duty called for.
Right.
If he destroyed Krill ships on his way back to the Union, then I think that is exactly what he was expected to do. Where I think he crossed the line was where he went to sabotage the peace talks.
Right.
Right after the fact. So destroying the 3 Krill ships, I think you could make an argument that that is what somebody is expected to do as an escaped POW.
So Ed does ask. Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's okay. And then I already made the point that, however, once he was safely in the confines of the Orville, stealing a shuttle, going back and sabotaging the peace talks was definitely a bridge too far.
Beyond it, because you're right. Then so let's say that the Patriot rules apply, which I'm so grateful for that. I did not know that was the extent of what is expected of you as a military person, and that makes so much sense. and gives a whole new meaning to people who call themselves patriots nowadays, as people that are just.
And if I could throw this out there, I did not serve. So please, anybody who did, if there's any more color or even corrections that you'd like to let us know, please let us know.
Yeah, I would love clarification on that too. I just remember the line where one of the first times we see Oren evade or be less than honest is when Ed says, "Why didn't you hail the Union? Why didn't you send a message out to the Union?"
Then he could have been saved by the hail.
And he says, "Oh, well, we couldn't afford for them to know our location." And he meets Lena at an outpost.
Right.
So that outpost could have gotten him to the Union. So it seemed like to me, this is where the blurred lines occur, that he decided to take it upon himself to destroy the Krill as his own personal vendetta.
That is, I think, accurate, because he did say that he met her at an outpost, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
And
after escaping.
Yeah, and they said about destroying some things. Maybe he didn't have the means to leave Krill space at that time. Like, once you're behind a wall, you can kind of sort of travel behind that wall a little bit. Now, getting across the wall, crossing the border out of a territory or out of Krill space is maybe a different challenge altogether. So I'm not ready to personally vilify, good word, vilify Oren for wreaking havoc behind enemy lines as an escaped POW.
Well, isn't that then a good argument to not do a provisional extradition, which I see you want to talk a little bit about that, so I would be happy to go into that. So then the union's insane. If that's the case, if that's I think we're meant to insinuate he did this of his own volition, could have gone to the Union this entire time. Mm-hmm. That's the hill I'm going to die on. I might be misremembering it. And just for argument's sake, he didn't. I think
you're right. And I agree with you. I think the only gray area is whether or not that was the right thing to do.
I see.
Because once you are an escaped POW, you are expected to continue to fight.
Right. Oh, I see. Okay. So then even more of an argument to your point, there should be no extradition regardless. And wouldn't the Krill respect that? Because he was in a war situation. He was a prisoner.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what the Krill expect or value or even what the rules of law or the code of military conduct is going to be in this far-flung future. So those are all questions that I don't have answers to. But if just judging it by today's standards, what American military folks are expected to do is to keep fighting as long as they have the ability to do so.
Wow, crazy. Well, yeah, it's so illuminating, because you can't blame somebody for not being in their right mind after being a POW, after losing their family, and because we really get a lot of conversation around, well, not heavy conversation, but we get conversation about how war is ugly on both sides.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that die.
It was a tense situation. It started off tense, and Ed, kind of put the Krill commander at bay by saying, look, we have a chance to stop the hate and the violence right here and right now. So let's focus on that. Because they were having that argument of what to do with Oren, to give him back or to offer him protection, to keep him in the custody of the Union, or to allow a provisional extradition agreement. And I think that's the reason for Kelly's comment when she asked, is this who we are now? Somebody who's willing to turn over somebody who's been a POW, who did what they were expected to do, which is continue to fight by every means possible. Are we willing to turn them over for the sake of negotiations?
Yeah.
And I think that's why she was surprised at that turn of events.
We do get a lot of moral questioning from Kelly. I think she really does a pretty good job of serving as a barometer for us to go, interesting, this is what we really want to do.
And I'd like to go back and keep score at some point, but I think the heaviest topics in the Orville are always laid out in a very low-key conversation, often between Ed and Kelly, not always, but often, and they're able to really distill the essence of the ethical, moral dilemma of the episode between the two of them, just speaking to each other. And when I can really identify that conversation in an episode, I feel like then I've got enough to do this show of the week.
That's really insightful. I think you're right. You know, I do think any creator of a show finds the vehicle of like every main character usually is a branch of philosophy or a version of a human psyche or something that we can recognize, but there is always one main character, the protag usually, that is meant to be the voice of the writer, and Ed is that, but also Kelly is that too for Seth.
Yeah, they do a really good job, and Ed has that burden of command on him, and it weighs on him a little bit more. It's a little bit easier when you don't, because you can possibly have an opportunity to armchair quarterback. I don't think Kelly necessarily does that, but the full weight and the consequences of a decision are going to fall on the captain, not as much, although somewhat, on the first officer. And you can see it with Ed when he went to Gordon. I mean, that was a tough conversation when he said, all I need is information. Did he say anything?
Right.
And Gordon said, all he said was that the peace talks are a mistake. And Gordon thought it was a mistake too. I think he called them, religious, butcherous, fanatics, that kind of thing. And he said that Orrin is a Union officer. The right thing to do is to protect him. So do your job. And Ed, I love this line. He said, I'll let you know when I figure out what that is. This is an unknown situation. This isn't something you can go to a rule book for. There is no extradition agreement. There is no playbook for, Krill peace talks with the Union. They didn't even know what a lock-vi was, 40 minutes ago. So there is no rule book for this. So what does he have to do? He's got to get information from the different folks and use that information to make the best decision he can. Which reminded me so much of Star Trek when it's good. Right? You had Kirk relying on, the emotional pleas of Dr. McCoy and the logical argument of Spock for him to make a sound ethical decision. And there was no rule book. And if there was a rule book, those rules probably didn't apply, which is probably why a lot of people think of James T. Kirk as a rule breaker, because he was doing the right thing, or what he thought the right thing was, as much as he could in a situation that was completely unknown, which is why they give captains such latitude in our real world, which is why captains have such latitude to make decisions when they're out there on their own. And what we see in the Planetary Union and the Federation is just sort of an extrapolation of current and historical naval traditions.
I think that's exactly right. And now I'm really understanding what makes a show in space so appetizing in that way. It's so much different than a Law and Order, when it really is just a whodunit, which today isn't. This episode is a little bit of a whodunit or how done it, right? But really, at the end of the day, what's going to happen to the bad guy or the person that was the perpetrator is based off of the law, really. So there's not a lot of wiggle room. Maybe how they solve the crime or figure out who did it is they have the wiggle room there, but we are watching moral dilemmas play out in a real-time scenario. And when space is unsettled and completely unknown, there's always going to be a brand new version of events that demand a different set of cognitive abilities. And
that's why it makes it such a great metaphor for what we do here right now on Earth, because every second that ticks by, we are sailing into the unknown. Things that are true a minute ago, things are changing faster than they've ever changed before. Rules are changing, attitudes are changing, and the way we make decisions is changing. And I think a show like this, when it's really serving a purpose and providing a service for people who watch it, shows us how to acquire information, think critically, and make good decisions.
I fully agree. I think they do a good, like, even in Family Guy, some of it is so crass and some of it is insane, but there's also messages there, you know? And you may not agree with it. I can understand why it got canceled 15 years ago because people just were not ready to
Hey, I'll do Mission Log the Family Guy with you. We'll be doing this into our old age.
We should be doing that. One of my closest friends is doing the SpongeBob podcast.
Rod, if you're listening,
we're doing Family Guy.
Rod, if you're listening, Mission Log Family Guy.
Come on, we need to do it. It's such a good idea. So it's actually a fantastic idea. I will say this. I don't think Gordon agrees that they shouldn't do peace talks. I think he was standing up for his friend that's hurt.
100%. I think he was getting caught up. I think he was emotional. I think he was torn. And I think what he did was he vocalized that piece of information that was causing confusion to him. Yeah.
Which is why I don't even think Ed was jealous of Oren and Gordon.
No, I don't think he was either. I thought that was I
felt like a tactic for Gordon to win that argument.
It was. I think it was a little bit of maybe gaslighting. I think it was possibly
totally.
I think it possibly may have just even been an attempt at humor. But I liked Ed's response. He was like, What are you kidding me? What are we in 6th grade? Like,
I just thought that was odd, though, that they went back to it and go, yeah, maybe I was a little threatened. Maybe it's just Ed being the bigger guy and going, listen, man, this is how much you mean to me.
I think that's probably a great way to look at it. And it really was. I mean, when Gordon was asked by Oren to get a shuttle, and he knew that was a line that he was not going to be able to come back from, he had a real easy out, man. All Gordon had to do was sign Ed's name on the shuttle log, and he could have totally
That's what we do.
That's what they do. And we're like, Gordon.
Just sign my name. Didn't do a drive-by last night. That is fantastic. You're right. This is our own little world that we're living in.
It is, man. I like that we keep connecting back to these things.
It's so good. Yeah, I'm glad to have a little bit more clarification on what the patriotism means. Mm-hmm. It isn't cut and dry what is the right thing to do here. I think the only really, really, really wrong thing, if we're taking the stance that he fought Krill's ships as he was trying to escape, is bringing the Enval on illegally onto the ship.
Right. And to me, I think escaping from the POW camp, causing havoc behind enemy lines, eventually reaching a Union ship and safe harbor on the Orville can all be explained away and can all be justified. But stealing the ship, going back, trying to destroy more Krill, and sabotage the peace talks, obviously, maybe not so obviously. For me, that's where it crossed a very clear line into not being patriotic anymore, but being in business for oneself. I do like the fact that they kind of used Oren's lack of understanding of new technology against him. I thought that was an interesting piece of writing. When Gordon cloaked the shuttle, he said, okay, we're cloaked. Now I don't know why I'm doing it like this.
Okay,
Gordon doesn't talk like that.
No.
Okay, now we're cloaked. The Orville can't track us anymore. And I was like, wait, can the Orville really not track a cloaked shuttle? And then Bortus was like, and then Bortus was like, they're cloaked, but I can still track them. And then I was like, they can. They just lied to the guy who's kind of like a techno, not up on technology.
That is so subtle too, because they didn't hit us over the head with that. But we've already dealt with him. He knows enough about the plasma and where to get the plasma containers and stuff like that. But you're so right. Like, what a simple ruse. That's a good point.
I thought that was a nice subtle piece of writing. So what do you think? Did Blood of Patriots align with the Roddenberry Star Trek philosophy?
I think yes. I think we haven't gotten a lot of how the Union works and not a love story in a little bit. And it's been good to see how this military contingency makes decisions on its heels. So yeah, I think it's very Star Trek in a very linear way.
Yeah, I think it told a really interesting story about how much war and loss and grief can change a person. I thought Mackenzie Aston was excellent. I looked for other things to watch him in, and I think I'm going to try to explore some other of the roles that he played, because I thought his acting personally was very good. But I'm not a professional, so I don't know.
No, he was good. He was good.
And I thought Scott Grimes had some chances to shine also, which was really good, and not in a comedic way or a singing way. So I was really, really happy to see that. I thought they were believable as friends. I bought into the history that they had together. And when Gordon finally, I think, found his moral compass, he just looked at Oren and he said, "I'm sorry, Oren, war is hell on all sides, but this agreement can stop the killing." And this episode was a way for the Orville to look at things, so simple as, or not simple as universally truthful, that war is hell and that war has casualties, whether those be combatants or just the innocents. Sometimes people die right there on the spot, and sometimes they live, but they're never, ever, ever the same. And sadly, after the fact, you're never going to be able to put the toothpaste back in the tube, or put Humpty Dumpty back together again, or go back to the way things were before. No amount of fighting, no amount of killing, and no amount of revenge will ever make up for what is lost. But what we can do is move forward together to try to create a brighter future. And I think that's where this show ended up.
I think you're right. What a lovely way to put it. Thanks, Mike. Mission Log the Orville is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment. Technical production by the indefatigable Earl Green. Please don't cut it out. Our website and your opportunity to comment and connect with us is podcasts.roddenberry.com.
Join us next time on Mission Log the Orville as we discuss the episode Lasting Impressions.
Oh, some more Gordon for us.
And some more Gordon.
See you then. This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.